Welcome to the Dusty Scroll, where history speaks and secrets unfold. 2 wars, 1 century, a planet forever changed. From the collapse of empires to the birth of superpowers, the world wars didn't just redraw borders, they rewired the entire machinery of global politics. But how exactly did we go from the trenches of France to the halls of the United Nations? From Hitler's Reich to America's global dominance? Stay with us as we uncover how the 2 greatest conflicts in human history sculpted the modern world. Chapter 1. The world before the wars, before the guns roared in 1914. The world was ruled by empires. The British Empire stretched from India to Africa. The French held colonies in Asia and Africa. And the Ottomans ruled the Middle East. Europe was a continent dominated by monarchies, empires, and aristocratic diplomacy. The balance of power relied on a complex web of alliances. But nationalism, militarism, and imperialism were destabilizing forces. Ethnic groups in the Austro-Hungarian Empire demanded independence. Russia faced internal unrest. In Germany's rapid industrial growth and naval buildup worried Britain. The major powers, Britain, France, Germany, Austria-Hungary, Russia, and the Ottoman Empire maintained a fragile peace, but the world was sitting on a powder keg. Chapter 2. World War I. Breaking the Old Order, World War. I began with the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary in June 1914. This triggered a chain reaction due to the complex alliance system. Germany backed Austria-Hungary, while Russia supported Serbia. France and Britain joined in, and soon the world was at war. Trench warfare, new technology like machine guns and poison gas, and massive casualties characterized this great war. Over 16 million people died. By the end, 4 empires collapsed: Austro-Hungarian, Russian, German, and Ottoman. The Treaty of Versailles in 1919 imposed harsh penalties on Germany, sowing seeds of resentment. The League of Nations was created to prevent future wars, but it lacked enforcement power. Meanwhile, new countries like Poland, Czechoslovakia, and Yugoslavia emerged. The world had changed politically and psychologically. Chapter 3. The interwar years, a world on edge. The 1920s and 30s were marked by instability. Germany faced hyperinflation and political chaos. The global economy crashed in 1929, leading to the Great Depression. This economic hardship fueled the rise of totalitarian regimes. In Italy, Mussolini established fascist rule. In Germany, Hitler rose to power by exploiting nationalist anger and economic despair. The Soviet Union, under Stalin, pursued forced industrialization and brutal political repression. The League of Nations failed to act when Japan invaded Manchuria in 1931, and when Italy attacked Ethiopia in 1935. The Spanish Civil War became a proxy battle between fascism and democracy. By the late 1930s, the world was hurtling toward another conflict. Chapter 4. World War II. The global reshuffling World War II began in 1939 with Germany's invasion of Poland. The war expanded rapidly as Hitler's forces overran much of Europe. The Axis powers, Germany, Italy, and Japan, faced off against the Allies, including Britain, the Soviet Union, and later the United States. The Holocaust, in which 6 million Jews were murdered, exposed the depths of human cruelty. Entire cities were bombed, and total war gripped the globe. The United States emerged as a dominant force after Pearl Harbor in 1941. The war ended in 1945 with Germany's surrender and the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. After World War II, the United Nations was established to replace the failed League of Nations. The Bretton Woods Conference laid the groundwork for the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. The war destroyed European supremacy and set the stage for US-Soviet rivalry. Chapter 5. Decolonization and the end of European supremacy after World War II. The weakened European powers could no longer maintain their empires. The Suez Crisis of 1956 revealed that Britain and France were no longer global powers. The United States and the Soviet Union became the new global influencers. Colonial powers attempted to maintain control, but nationalist movements proved too strong, which tried to stay neutral during the Cold War. Chapter 6. Cold War. a new world order. The Cold War wasn't a direct war between the US and USSR, but a geopolitical chess match lasting nearly 50 years. The world was split into two camps: capitalist democracies under the US, communist states under the Soviet Union. Military alliances like NATO and the Warsaw Pact emerged. Proxy wars were fought in Korea, Vietnam, and Afghanistan. The Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962 nearly brought the world to nuclear war. Both sides developed thousands of nuclear weapons, and the concept of mutually assured destruction prevented direct conflict. International institutions grew stronger. The UN became a forum for diplomacy, while economic bodies like the GATT regulated trade. Chapter 7: Long-Term Impacts and the Modern Global Order. The legacy of the world wars lives on in today's political systems. The US remains a superpower, NATO is still active, and the United Nations continues to mediate conflicts. Cold War rivalries have shifted. China is rising, Russia is reasserting itself, and new powers like India and Brazil are becoming influential. The wars also led to norms against genocide, human rights abuses, and the use of nuclear weapons. Global diplomacy, while imperfect, is more structured than ever. The world wars didn't just end conflicts. They laid the foundation for today's international order. History doesn't just repeat, it echoes. The world wars created the blueprint of our modern political world. To understand today's conflicts, we must understand the battles of yesterday. Thanks for watching The Dusty Scroll. If you found this journey enlightening, like, subscribe, and comment below. Which moment in 20th century history do you think changed the world most? See you next time for more stories that shaped humanity.